Emotions have been running high this week. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my 7-week pregnancy update. If you haven't been to this channel before, my name's Abigail and I have a son already called Samuel, who is almost 2, and I'm expecting my second child, and like I said, I'm currently 8 weeks pregnant. So this video is going to be all about my update of the week past, so when I was 7 weeks pregnant, all the things that happened during that week. So if you haven't seen my other videos, I'm going to link them here. I've got a big playlist of pregnancy update videos. I started filming them from when I found out I was pregnant until now, and I will continue to film them, hopefully all the way up to giving birth. So if you haven't seen that, I'll link them below and also link them in the cards up here somewhere, and you can go and check that out. So to start off with, my measurements around my belly this week was the same. I'm still the same measurements around, and not a lot has actually changed in terms of symptoms. My symptoms have kind of stayed pretty much the same. So I talked about that a lot in my last video, so go and check that out if you haven't seen that. But basically I'll give you like a quick overview of what my symptoms have been this time. So I'm still getting a lot of nausea. I am still vomiting quite a bit. That's the main kind of thing that I get during the first trimester, and it was the same with my last pregnancy. I got a lot of vomiting and nausea with that as well, and it's been the same this time round. I have been very exhausted, unmotivated, not wanting to do anything. I have had some mild stomach cramps this week actually, just more like a tummy ache. Kind of like things are shifting around inside there, which I'm sure they are. So that's probably why I'm getting that. So I'm getting a little bit of that this week. I'm getting a lot of discharge, which is nice. Just a lot more of that actually, which is fun. So I've started wearing panty liners to kind of help with that situation. And that's pretty much it as symptoms go. I don't want to harp on about it too much because I did quite a lot in my last video. So yeah, I don't want to kind of harp on about it too much. This week the baby is the size of a raspberry. So a little raspberry, kind of like that size, right? So cute. But getting much bigger. And I'm loving using my apps to see what the baby would look like at this stage, because they already look like little tiny people, like little tiny person inside there, and it's absolutely crazy to me to think how tiny and yet how perfectly formed that little being is. According to the app that I use, so I use two. I use the Pregnancy Plus app and I use the Ovia pregnancy app. And the Pregnancy Plus app is more scientific, and that's the one I use for information about the baby. And it tells me that this week there's little kind of paddle-like buds forming that's going to be the hands and the feet eventually. And also teeth buds are forming that will eventually, of course, form into teeth eventually, quite a bit in the future. But all of that kind of stuff is forming just now, and you can see it in lovely detail on the app that I use. Yeah, it's just so cute and just looking so much like a little baby now. Okay, like I said at the start of this video, this week has been a bit more mentally and emotionally challenging than the other weeks that I've had, and I'm kind of going to go into that in a bit of detail now. But this is your trigger warning to click off of the video if you don't want to hear any talk about miscarriage or anything to do with the loss of a baby, because I'm going to be talking just a little bit about that now and about my thoughts around it. So this is your trigger warning. Click off now if you don't want to hear anything about miscarriage. Okay, so I want to start off by saying that I have not had a miscarriage. I do not have experience in that as of yet, which I'm very thankful and grateful about. But it is something which I've been thinking about a lot this week. It's always been something that's played at the back of my mind, even with my first pregnancy. I've never been one of those people that's never thought about the possibility of miscarriage. I know a lot of people that have miscarriages, when they film videos and stuff about it and talk about it, they say they never considered the possibility. I'm definitely not one of those people. I'm one of those people that as soon as I knew I was pregnant the first time with Samuel, I was online checking everything that I knew about everything to do with pregnancy, and of course that involves conversations about miscarriage early on. And so I do feel like I know a decent amount about miscarriage and the risks and the possibilities of it and just the overall situation. So I'm not naive about that. I'm not thinking, oh, I'll never have a miscarriage because I had a perfectly good birth the first time round. I know it doesn't work that way, and just because you have a good birth the first time doesn't mean you're not going to have a miscarriage the second time or any times after that. So not to be super down about it, but I just want to share my thoughts because I'm sure other women feel the same as me. And yeah, it's just being honest. I'm giving you honest pregnancy updates, and this week has mostly been thoughts about losing the baby potentially in miscarriage. And I think sometimes that's just natural as humans. We just go through stages of doubts and fears and just finding it difficult to comprehend, because I think if you're pregnant, the second you find out you're pregnant, the whole baby's life seems to like be mapped out. You're starting to think about things much further in the future, and then if that ends, that's a very, very difficult thing to take, of course, because you've thought about this baby as a child. It is a child. As soon as the moment of conception, that baby, that little splodge is a child and a baby. No one can tell me otherwise. It is. So when you think about the loss of that, no matter how small, it's devastating. I love this Dr. Seuss quote that says, "A person is a person no matter how small." And I think that perfectly sums up my thoughts on little tiny babies. A person is a person no matter how small. And so if you lose a little tiny person, that is of course devastating. Like I said, I haven't gone through it, but I can imagine it would be devastating. I have watched videos of women who have gone through it, and it is devastating, I can see. So it's just something that's been playing on my mind. I'm currently 8 weeks pregnant, and so the risks go down as you get further along in pregnancy, but that doesn't really go down dramatically until you hit about 12 weeks. So I've been thinking about all of these things, and then I've been thinking about our current situation, which is I'm in Scotland. We're not in lockdown, but the NHS are not yet resuming fully their practices, so I don't have midwife appointments in person at the moment, which means last time when I had it for my booking appointment, the midwife tried to find the baby's heartbeat so I could hear the baby's heartbeat, and they were successful. And so I had that kind of reassurance that I'd heard my baby's heartbeat probably around the same time, like 8 or 9 weeks. So I had that reassurance, but this time my booking appointment is on the phone. I've been told that there might be quite a few more phone appointments, so I might not be seeing a midwife in person until after the 12-week mark when I get my scan. So I've been thinking about this, like the thought of miscarriage and then the thought of not having a reassurance for quite a long time. Waiting till 12 weeks for our NHS free scan is actually quite a long time to wait. So yeah, like I said, I live in Scotland. I don't know if I'm making this clear or not. I live in Scotland, and usually you get to hear the baby's heartbeat before your 12-week scan, and then at 12 weeks you get a scan to see if the baby's okay, and then at 20 weeks you get another scan. And unless you have any other reason to have more scans, that's kind of all the scans you get. So the idea is that I now have to wait until 12 weeks to get any kind of reassurance that the baby is okay, and that is seeming like a very, very long time away. 12 weeks from 8 weeks is a long, long time. And yeah, so basically all of this has led to the decision that we're going to go and get an early reassurance viability scan. So I'll talk about that more in my next video after I've had it. But basically it's a scan you can have very early on to see if the baby's okay. It is a private scan I'm going for because I'm not high risk. I can't get it free on the NHS. So I have to go and book a private scan, and you do have to pay a little bit of money for it, which is why I wasn't originally going to do it. But I thought, you know what, just for the peace of mind and the reassurance that it's going to bring, I'm going to just go and get the paid for scan, and that'll just give me peace of mind, or if something awful were to happen, I would know sooner rather than later, which for me is the preferable option. So you'll hear all of that in my next week's video, but that's kind of my thoughts around that. With my first son Samuel, I was okay. I was fine. I had my 12-week scan, everything was fine, and I wasn't quite as stressed. But I just think it's partly because of the situation we are in the world right now, and it's partly just because of my mental state this week, but I kind of on a whim booked this scan just because I was like, you know what, it's not going to do any harm, it's going to make me feel 100 million times better. And yeah, that's why I'm booking the scan, and I'll tell you all about it next week and if I would recommend the scan, blah 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 blah. I'm going with a company called Window to the Womb, very highly recommended in Scotland anyway. So I'm gonna see what it's like. I'm very excited about it, and I know that no matter what happens, if I do end up having a miscarriage or losing the baby at some point, at the end of the day, God is God. He made this life, he gave this life to me for as long as that life is. No matter how short or long that baby's life is, God gave it to me to treasure, and I'm very blessed and I'm proud to have been given this life. And I know that at the end of the day, God is to be trusted fully, and he knows all things, and he will work all things for good eventually, and he can be trusted and he's faithful, and that's kind of what I need to lean on as well. But I also think that we've got such great technology these days that, you know what, if you can possibly, I think for me it's been a good decision to go and get this scan and just give me that extra layer of reassurance, and just to be really excited, because it's really hard to be excited when you're kind of stressed about it, and it's also not good to be overly stressed about it because your baby feeds off of kind of, I don't know, it's not good to be stressed when you're pregnant, basically, I know that. So all of these things are working together for me to just decide to get the scan, and no matter what happens, God is faithful, and I think that's what I need to remember. I hope that wasn't too negative. I just did want to talk about it because I know other people have these thoughts, whether they've had miscarriages before or whether they've not. And I know that I'm in a very blessed, privileged position to currently not have experienced a miscarriage. I know many people go through so many in their lives, and I can just imagine how devastating that must be. And so I am in a relatively privileged position, but at the same time it doesn't mean that I can't talk about it, because it's something that there is a lot of awareness about now, and it's something that could potentially happen to anyone, and there's no real reason a lot of the time for it. And so I did want to just talk about it because that's what's been happening this week, and this is my pregnancy update, so I want to tell you everything that's been happening in my past week which are related to pregnancy. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to link a couple of videos here you can go check out if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you very shortly in my next one. Bye.